Greetings, and welcome to Arcana Analysis, where we invite you into the Velvet Room to unlock the secrets of the Arcanum and the bonds they encompass. In this episode, we'll be discussing the Devil Arcana. The Devil is the 15th major arcana, following Temperance and preceding the Tower. The Devil is yet another card that may spur fear when encountered in a reading, but much like death, it's not nearly as frightening as its namesake. The illusory fear is near to the truth of the Devil. It is a trick, a misleading, knee-jerk reaction, or a lie that's ingrained itself within your psyche. The Devil is a trap predicated on fear. It is a voice in your ear promising only failure and woe, and encouraging one to keep themselves shackled to the true source of their anguish. Almost every depiction of the Devil features shackles and bondage, a man and a woman with their chains held tight by the titular demon. This is meant to be that which binds us, the evil that keeps us in misery. Oftentimes, it is representative of dependency or behavior. Addiction in all its forms tends to fall within the Devil's domain, as there is little more difficult to escape than the vicious cycle of heart-pounding, short-term pleasure, followed by inevitable, long-term pain. That suffering only makes our yearning for release, however temporary and however expensive, all the stronger. What's little pain down the line if I can relish in the ecstasy of the current moment? The truth that shatters this arcana's ferocious facade is that there is no devil. We have had and always will have a choice, and self-inflicted cycles of despair have always been just that, self-inflicted. There is no actual red imp on your shoulder, only self-destructive impulses and spirals of shame. But there's no angel either. The onus is on us to take new actions. You do not have to chain yourself to a sinking cost forever. You can always change your mind and make the better choice. As difficult as it may be, it's always possible. With no master to hold you in captivity, you are free to break yourself out. In the Persona series, the Devil Arcana is the home of the immoral and the unscrupulous. They are exactly the ilk you would expect from such a confrontationally concerning card. Liars, cheaters, and dangerous bedfellows. They tend to begin their stories as quintessential caricatures of the addiction and entrapment that their arcana represents. Slaves to vice, poor decision-makers, and selfish jerks who are all too eager to use and abuse the precocious fools that try to befriend them. However, with time, effort, and a rude wake-up call or two, our devils tend to rethink their place in the world and begin taking action to better themselves. More often than not, that resolve to change earns them true happiness and fulfillment, a spiritual breaking from the bondage that weighed upon them for so long. The personas aligned under the Devil Arcana are no less of a rogues gallery, quite fittingly taking the form of mythological agents of evil and torment, liars, and seducers. Understandably, the Devil Arcana has an unusually high number of figures from Abrahamic religion and myth. They excel in dark-based attacks, and commonly have devious tricks up their sleeves to hinder their opponent's stats.
There are few things more classically evocative of the devil than shady businessmen. Tanaka makes his debut by shamelessly and artlessly conning the protagonist, a high schooler, out of a few $100s. He then immediately, and with very little provocation, reveals himself to be a spineless worm who offers to lick your shoes clean if it means not being outed to the public as a greedy, two-faced jerk. Tanaka is truly remarkable in how vacant he is of humanity or integrity. Even his initial alliance with the protagonist is born out of immorality. He's pissed off at how idiotic you are for repeatedly falling for his con, tells you off, then selfishly concocts a scheme to use your pretty face for marketing. It's low, it's scummy, it's the exact sort of quality you can expect from Tanaka's amazing commodities. The life lessons he begins imparting upon the protagonist are tidbits of moral depravity flavored towards fleecing others and getting away with it. He proudly describes himself as the CEO of a company that sells fake products, and this is in no way hyperbole. Tanaka shares with the protagonist that he does not sell actual goods, but peace of mind. Placebos, in essence. His entire company is a reflection of the devil, nothing but illusions and lies. Spend money, feel more secure in the moment, like you've made some sort of progress, and yet the root of your problem still persists. Your life is no better, but your wallet is a little lighter. and thus the spiral continues. Tanaka does not mince words about his love of money and the lengths he goes to satiate that desire. Throughout his social link, we slowly learn the source of his abyssal greed. We are shown fleeting glances of a downtrodden child bearing up in poverty, and the seed of spite his misfortune planted in him. His desire may have been born from need, but over time, it took a new, gnarled form, a desire to get back at everyone that looked down on him. Tanaka wants to gloat. He wants to go to his high school reunion, a rich, gaudy man, and show everyone how foolish they were for looking down on him. And he easily achieves this end. Despite his depravity, his vicious business acumen has led him to success. He pulled himself out of squalor and into riches. He has made himself into a shiny, beautiful product that people buy. But it does not make him feel like anything more than another normal man. He can put on a dazzling smile and wear an expensive tie, but he is no less slobbish than anyone else in his private life. And seeing as he sometimes only bathes every 3 days, maybe even more slobbish than average. He has all the riches he can dream of, but he hardly knows what to do with the money. Outside of his business, itself a relentless grind optimized towards making the most money possible, he has no interests and no life. He is the embodiment of a classic Aesop. Money cannot buy happiness. But in talking to the protagonist instead of just scamming them, in going out of his way to offer free advice, Tanaka took a small step out of the path he'd been retreading for years and made a new choice. He rather likes the idea of being a mentor figure, his first real purpose outside of hoarding his vice. It's for the sake of watching others grow into their own that Tanaka breaks entirely from his habits and does something that runs entirely contrary to the man he's always been. He donates to an orphanage. Perhaps there is still selfishness in it. Perhaps he will eventually gloat to those orphans about how he changed their lives or take credit for their successes. Regardless, Tanaka breaks free from the chains and cycles that bind him, finding meaning beyond vice and doing some good for the world. He will still be a shady businessman and a worm to boot, but he has discovered something he finds truly valuable and enriched the lives of others, both literally and figuratively.
Slotting naturally into the role of the devil in Persona 4, we have Sayoko Uehara, a nurse who at times feels more evocative of the succubus archetype than the persona of the same name. Uehara is moody, ambivalent, and downright predatory, seeing as her half-hearted advances are made towards not only patients and other staff, but also the protagonist, who is explicitly a high school student and 10 years her junior. Of course, this facade in and of itself is something of an illusion. She's not so keen on following through on any of her taunts. Not anymore, at least. Uehara is first and foremost looking for a reaction. She's courting attention, and through it, connection, via the easiest method available to her. She's a young, beautiful woman, and she's smart enough to know that a little bit of overt sexuality will instantly put her in a lot of men's good graces. While they're her patients, she's their Florence Nightingale, and the light of their life. Maybe they'll even tell her that they love her. For a doctor at her previous job, she's a woman intoxicating enough to take as a mistress and risk his marriage over. But time passes, her patients get better, and they leave her behind with the hospital. The doctor was married, and will inevitably choose his wife over a work fling. She is forgotten, discarded, and the other nurses like her a little bit less every time. What else to do to numb the gaping emptiness left in their wake than find a new hospital, a new doctor, a new patient to win with her charms? To care for someone and in the process convince them to care for her for just a little while. Uehara's addiction is to affection. If she can live in those warm moments where she's wanted and needed, she doesn't need to feel the ache of loneliness. She will gladly trade the opinion of others, her own true feelings and desires, and her dignity, if it means escaping that pain for a little while. She envies youths with their whole futures ahead of them, because she is trapped in an unfulfilled future where she only has the abating warmth of false connection to look forward to. This is the cyclical disaster indicative of the devil, but Uehara is unique in the struggles she goes through trying to buck it. The death of a former patient wakes her up from her hazy daydreams, and spurs her to the desire to change something, to do more. Her inability to find her footing on the path to a better life is not for lack of effort. She doubles and triples her drive, becoming a nurse like no other, and, in the process, becoming a nightmare for other nurses who cannot hope to live up to her new standards. It's easy to say that one always has a choice, that at any moment you can choose to change your life for the better. It's much harder to actually make that choice, or to understand what really needs to change in the first place. Uehara tries. She works hard. She sheds blood, sweat, and tears under a worthy banner. It's to the end of helping others. But she only succeeds in further tarnishing her reputation and working herself to exhaustion. Immobilized and forced to reckon with herself, Uehara comes to a new epiphany. She remembers who she was and what she wanted when she was young, and then she chooses to pursue the lofty dreams of her youth, even amidst uncertainty. Uehara is not taking baby steps. She is completely changing her life. When she breaks from the cycles and vices that ruled her, she does so with admirable aplomb, quitting her job, moving to Africa, and joining a volunteer organization. And she's happier for it. Uehara finds fulfillment, and in so doing, finally heals the void that has ached in her heart for so long.
Our final bearer of the Devil Arcana is Ichiko Ohya, a once prestigious and respected journalist who has fallen from grace and is now relegated to reporting on tabloid topics like the Phantom Thieves. By day, she bends the truth and sensationalizes the mundane to make ends meet. By night, she drinks away her sorrows at the Crossroads Bar in Shinjuku. Caught between unburied pains of the past and disillusionment of the future, Ohya does little more than mollify herself in the present and vent her impotent frustrations. While one's initial impression would suggest Ohya is an unscrupulous skeptic with a severe drinking problem, it takes a keen investigative eye to recognize the real reporter. At one time, this paparazzo was a political journalist, paired with an equally talented photographer named Kaio Murakami. The two worked in tandem to unearth countless scandals, earning a great deal of respect from their peers in the process. But when one of their cases veered towards Masayoshi Shido's sphere of influence, things took a turn for the worse. In retribution for pursuing the truth, Kaio was framed for the murder of an esteemed bureaucrat and went missing shortly thereafter. In the wake of this, Ohya was left behind to be crushed under the professional blowback from her partner's defamation. Her superior's faith in her was destroyed, and she was taken off political cases and moved to novelty in tabloids. In a single moment, the reporter had her career, her reputation, and, most importantly, her closest confidant taken from her. Night after night, the protagonist returns to the Crossroads for more interviews with Ohya, feeding her information about the exploits of the Phantom Thieves. Through this exchange, not only is the truth behind Ohya's past brought to light, but it is also revealed that the journalist hasn't fully given up yet. She is still actively investigating Kaio's mysterious disappearance. Though she works to keep her search for the truth a secret from her superiors, it isn't long before the chief of her publication grows suspicious of these extensive after-hours investigations. As punishment, Ohya receives an even greater quota of assignments, leaving her no time to pursue the truth behind her missing partner. With no foreseeable recourse, Ohya once again slips into a pit of despair, self-pity, and alcohol, her vices of choice. She places the blame for Kaio's disappearance solely on herself and her passion for uncovering the truth. Had she not brought Kaio into the world of political journalism, she never would have gone missing. Unlike other devils, Ohya will not break from the habits that bind her, and this is nothing short of a virtue. What keeps her bound is her dedication to her partner and to the truth. She could always choose to turn away, but doing so would be nothing less than a betrayal to her friend and a concession to an apathetic and morally depraved world. But Ohya is not alone. Much like all the rest under the Arcanum, she is not alone. She has the Phantom Thieves as her allies, whether or not she realizes it. Ascertaining that the root of this roadblock is Ohya's supervisor, they change the man's heart and clear the way for the journalist's investigation. She is no longer bound to the shadows and may continue her mission in the light of day. This freedom leads her to the missing photographer, though this discovery is bittersweet. Kaio suffers from a mental shutdown, a direct result of her uncovering secrets related to Masayoshi Shido. Though this incident has left her partner forever changed, Ohya is relieved to know that Kaio Murakami still lives. What's more, essential evidence to exonerate the photographer is found on her person, meaning Ohya's tragic past may finally be laid to rest. Through the encouragement of those around her, Ichiko Ohya is freed from a cycle of regret and sorrow, allowed to live freely in the present as opposed to being shackled by her past. Wallowing in self-pity and drinking each night away are finally behind her, allowing her to recommit to the pursuit of truth and justice in her investigations. Now in a world that is a bit more just.
That concludes our examination of the Devil Arcana. No one person is free from sin. However, the bearers of the Devil Arcana find themselves bound to self-destructive tendencies that leave them living in a hell of their own making.
But, with a change of perspective, even the broken, beaten, and damned may rise above their station. They've always had the key to their shackles. They need only use it.
We hope you've enjoyed your stay with us in the Velvet Room, and we look forward to seeing you again. Until then, we bid you adieu.